This is WPSL Port St. Lucie.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, you are encouraged to like and share them on Facebook. It's time for Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce in the historic arcade building to bring you Joanne's World of Nutrition with your host, Joanne Augusto.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Well, I know that I promised that we were going to talk about acid reflux in more detail today, but I have the honor of having the most incredible special guest with me today, so I had to change the topic to go with the guest's most lengthy education on this subject. So the guest today, drum roll please, is my daughter Helena. Helena, thank you for coming to the show with Mommy today. I totally forgot that yesterday was your last day of school. So Helena, tell everyone hi.
Hi, everybody.
And how old are you, Helena?
I'm 8 years old.
8. And what grade will you be going into next year?
3rd grade.
3rd grade. Oh my gosh. You know, a lot of the customers, just like Lynette at the radio station, said, remember you when you were just a tiny baby. That's how long I've known everybody. Yeah, they saw my belly growing with you in it, and then there you were hanging out of the store, crawling, touching every bottle I had. Yeah, I remember those days. So, are you going to tell all our listeners good morning and tell them what the topic is today?
The topic is kids nutrition.
Nice. And we are going to be able to cover tips for the summer to help get your kids healthy if they're not already, and then keep them healthy and keep them fit and strong throughout the summer. But we must start the show with our breathing exercise. So, Helena, Mommy starts the show every Thursday with a breathing exercise. And what we do is we take 5 breaths in using our nose, and then we hold for 5, and then we release for 5. Do you remember how Mommy does this? So you're going to do it with us on air, okay? So Cliff is the expert counter. Would you like me to count today, Cliff, or you got it covered?
Well, let's see.
Because you are the best counter in town, so I really, Yeah. All right, so
they always consider me like a parts counter. They always say, hey, you got a wrench?
All right, so really, everyone, it's not just this silly thing we do to start the show. I love it because it centers us. It helps bring energy to our body. It lowers blood pressure, helps the focus. And it's something that we usually take for granted and we don't do. And this is so great to have our kids do it. You know, when they get frustrated or anxious or they lose their temper or they're just having a bad moment or we're having a bad moment with them because they're not maybe showing the attitude that we would always love to see. This is a great tool. So instead of just sending them off to a chair to catch their breath, tell them to do this exercise with us. So what we do is breathe in only using our nose for a count of 5, hold for 5, and exhale for 5. So, Cliff, just today we'll do it 2 times, okay?
Okay.
All right, so exhale out.
Let it all out. Okay.
All
and now
right.
start your inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Nice. I hope that feels good. How does that feel, Lena? Felt good? Nice. So today's topic is really crucial. And if you're just about to say, well, I don't have kids or I have no kids in my life and about to change the station, don't do it. Not only am I so thankful for you listening in, but I want you to remember that we're all kids inside. I used to make a kind of like a joke or an analogy daily that it surprises me how careful we are about our pets' nutrition, our babies' nutrition, but then something happens. There's a shift in our thinking or our mindset when they get just a little bit older, and then it's okay to like throw all this sugar at them and artificial colors and drive through food. But we would never dare think about doing it when they're a little tiny baby. Well, we are all still that little tiny baby where our bones are growing, our brains are growing, or just everything's still working every day, dependent on our thoughts and our nutrition, on our activity level, our environment, every single moment of every day, no matter if we're 1 day old or 100. So please, all the information I'm going to cover would be applicable to anyone at any age. So let's start with Helena. So I kind of get really proud as a mommy on the fact that you have never had to take a medicine. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so a lot of parents that come into the store, I use that example with my two children, my 14-year-old and 8-year-old, not to show off, but to show that if you give the proper nutrition to your child before something happens, then you don't have to worry about urgent care visits, ear infections, antibiotics. Both my children haven't had antibiotics, and I do believe with all my heart, mind, soul, and every cell in my body that it's because of the daily routine they have. Now, do they get colds? Yes. I always say they're not perfect, but I usually know that it's a result of something that they have done. And one of the things that's a little bit challenging is that there are different body types in our population, and there's also childhood obesity is 1 out of every 3 children. And where, the social media now more than ever has really plagued us with these perfect lifestyles, these perfect people, especially for the younger generation, where everyone is filtering every picture to make themselves look the perfect size, the perfect hair, the perfect everything. The pressure on our young adults and children is extremely high now. My 14-year-old, he has many friends, and among the females of the group, I hear how they speak and how they're so critical of themselves. So I always try to address whether you come into my store or you talk to me by phone. When it comes to your children, I always say, please don't focus on their size, focus on their health. The size will balance out if the nutrition is there. So if they have, a good environment around them, a good, loving, supportive environment, they're getting the nutrition, they're getting outdoors, they're being active, they're not all day holding their phone on, social media, the body will balance out. There are so many different hormone surges that occur with children that their bodies might seem a little too large or proportion incorrectly, say when they're between 10 and 13, and all of a sudden, the hormone surge would come, or what we might call a growth spurt, and all of a sudden they thin out and they grow 3 inches. And I've seen it with not only 27 of my nieces and nephews, but my own children. So be patient with the outside with your children, and please don't judge them on that, but look at their general nutrition. And I feel like we are so challenged just making sure we are getting enough good nutrition into our day, and having the strength to stay away from the bad choices, that I know it's really hard having that daily conversation with your child to keep them away from everything that doesn't do their body good. And the biggest thing that I get challenged with is school lunches. So Helena, can you tell our listeners what your thoughts are on the school lunches that are offered, and camp food too? So even though we're going to summer. So get close to your mic, girlie, and tell the listeners what you think about school food.
Well, it has a lot of sugar and a lot of white powder, which is very bad for you.
Yeah, white flour, yep.
White flour. And it's just...
It's yucky, right?
Yeah.
Now, what did you used to tell me a lot when Mommy couldn't, for my own bad reasons, couldn't get a school lunch made for you and you ate the cafeteria food? What would you tell me when you came home from school about your belly?
That it hurt really bad.
Yes, and your brother as well. Not only did I notice that, but also their bowel movements would change drastically when they would have all that processed food. And, one time I went on Elena's birthday to join her and her few closest friends for lunch, and they actually had an extra lunch bag that they handed me, thinking that I would want it. And I could not believe that is what the children ate. It literally was this huge white flour sub that had a hunk of the most processed, I think it was ham or turkey. I don't even know. I mean, it was slimy and a chunk. It kind of looked like Spam. And then cheese that appeared to look like Velveeta. And then a pickle, like a wrapped pickle on the side. And that... Oh, and an apple that really was having a bad day. So that was their idea of a balanced lunch. Now, we could go on for hours about the politics of cafeteria food in the school system and blah, blah, blah. I'm not here to pick a fight, but I just want to tell you that our children are coming home with, sometimes the droopy, unenergetic faces, the stomachs that are distended and hurt, not able to go to the bathroom because of some of these things that are offered. And if your child does the breakfast program along with the lunch program, sometimes their bodies are challenged even more so. So Elena, to offset those days that you do have cafeteria food, what do I make sure you have an extra serving of when you get home off the shuttle? Out of the blender.
A shake.
A shake. Now, I am so grateful to have these shakes in my life. I have mentioned them before. Elena, what's the brand name of the shakes that I live and breathe for?
Mostly the mocha.
No, not the flavor. What's the brand name?
Oh, the brand name?
Yep. Isogenics. Yes. So the reason why is it is actually after I was finished breastfeeding Elena and she was being introduced to real food, that was the first shakes that she had. That's how clean they are. And my children still use them. One serving of the Isogenics shake is equal to 2.5 super food meals. So it's no gluten, organic, non-GMO. It's New Zealand, unddenatured whey. It's as clean as you can get with following the legal statutes that we have here in the States for whey products. But it's great because once it hits that cold water, it's activated. So every morning, my kids get the Isogenic shakes, and then when they get done with school each day, it's made my life not only so easy because I know they're getting the best, quickest nutrition, but it's also made the kids feel so good. And I am not joking when I say, okay, guys, if you really want to have pizza tonight, it's Friday, let's order pizza. Especially my 14-year-old will say, no, we just want shakes. Is that not true, Elena?
Yes, it is true.
And why is it that you prefer a shake over most things that we sometimes eat that's naughty, that's a treat? Like, what do the shakes make you feel like that the other food doesn't?
They make me feel really good, and they don't make my stomach hurt.
Yeah, they don't make your belly hurt. So she said to me after I was really loyal to 2 shakes a day, because most of the time I just did the breakfast shake, but it's only $3.25 a serving, so it's so economical as well. But the best part is she came to me and she said, Mommy, I just want you to know I feel so good ever since I've been having those extra shakes. My belly feels great and I have lots of energy. It just made me smile ear to ear. And when those boxes come to my doors, I mean, I could make a commercial for Isogenics because they get as excited, if not more excited, to open up a box. And if anyone knows, this is so not a sales pitch because you come into my kitchen, I have a really long island and it is covered with Isoline shakes because we all love them. My boyfriend and his children love them. I mean, it is part of our everyday life. And what's your favorite flavor?
My favorite flavor is vanilla.
Vanilla. All right, awesome. So if you are looking for something that's super clean, super affordable, super nutrition that I've tested for years and know that it really does work, and the company got 2017 Green Company of the Year Award. They're the top 3 for the Better Business Bureau companies in our country. Super respectable, amazing company. But on another note, okay, the kids love it. How hard is it to make your kids love things? So that's what we want to talk about next is ways to get your kids involved in making healthier choices. So there is something else that you love to do at home, especially when it starts getting warm outside, and it's juicing, right?
Yes, I love juicing.
My daughter, I have pictures of her standing by the juice for hours. She'll try to ask even the neighbors if they wanted a fresh vegetable juice so she can make it for them too. So what is it that you love so much? Is it the taste, or is it like you just like putting all those vegetables and making them into liquid?
Mostly both because I like just to do both.
All right. And I think carrot apple is probably your favorite. Yeah, right? A little sweet. Yeah, so, but, you can put a little greens in there, make it a little healthier. We usually try to wash or trim up our produce and then put it back into the fridge to get it really crispy and cold before we run it through a juicer. But you could always add ice to it if you wanted. And then what's another thing you love to do with all your isogenics products and your juicing? We put them in what kind of trays?
The popsicle trays.
Yeah, the popsicle trays. So instead of spending money on a lot of artificial colors and sweeteners or $4 a box, just take, whether you do choose to use the products I'm talking about or just juice yourself, vegetables with a combination of a little bit of fruit to sweeten it up, but just a touch, make a popsicle out of that. Now we do, because we're just obsessed with the Isogenics line, we have the Isofruits. So it's all the 33 superfoods and all the antioxidants, but only 1 gram of sugar. So they've removed the sugar from all the fruit, because nowadays fruit, it really has to be eaten like minimal, if at all, because the sugar content is through the roof on most fruits. If you ate fruits like they used to be, they were kind of bitter. And with a touch of sweetness at the end, like apples and stuff, now everything is really super sweet. It's like you're eating cake. So don't go crazy with fruits, whether you're juicing or making smoothies. I usually even keep bananas out of all my kids' nutrition. If I buy a head of bunch, I don't even know what they're called, a bunch of bananas, I'm lucky if I do 1 bunch per year, because they have so much starch and sugar. And if right now you're kind of going, but my kids, they sweat a lot, they're in sports, they need it for the potassium, I can give you lots of healthier ways to get potassium into your diet instead of eating a starchy, sweet fruit. Okay, so we're going to say some juicing, some healthy options for shakes during the summer. And what about, Helena? So out of vegetables, what is one of your most favorite vegetables?
Mostly, I'm pretty sure, and
Well, you eat all the vegetables only because I really don't give you an option. But yeah, so, okay, she's used to all of them. But I used to teach children's groups in the school system for many years. And if anyone's not aware of this, most children today cannot name more than 1 vegetable. And usually the vegetable they name is a tomato, which technically is not even a vegetable. So it saddens me. And I think a lot of parents, not only are they not eating enough vegetables themselves to keep their body healthy, but again, the battle, they don't want to work the battle. They don't want to have the conversation. They don't want to keep trying, because I know what it's like to be at a dinner table with 4 to 5 kids and have them like, well, I don't like this, and I don't want this, and I don't eat it like this, and I don't want to do this. And, it's a struggle. So one of my suggestions is get the children involved in the meal planning. Have them pick recipes online. Put a bunch of recipes that they pick in a hat and have them pick one. And they're in charge of the kitchen. They're the chef of the night. The studies show, I think Harvard did the study, that your child is more than 80% more apt to eat their entire meal if they were part of the planning and cooking. So, I think we're supposed to eat like 9 servings of fruit and vegetables a day, but I really kind of even laugh at that because most of our crops, unless they're organic, really provide more pesticides than nutrition. So always try to get local and organic if possible. But get your kids to know what an artichoke is. Get your kids to know what Brussels sprouts are, and arugula and endive. I love when I go through a Publix line and I buy all my different produce, and they always have to call the management over for everyone because they don't know what it is. It just cracks me up because, these kids are, about 17, 18, and they've never seen anything other than maybe some iceberg lettuce, some tomatoes, some carrots. So if we want to see a difference in our children, and we don't want them to suffer the fate that scientists right now are saying that our children are going to have a shorter lifespan than we do, that 1 in 3 are going to be obese, that 1 out of 2 children in 2033 are going to have autism. I mean, the numbers that are out there are beyond scary. So if you want to see a change in your child's behavior, body type, and not having to miss work, miss school, and having the stress of them being sick, you have to change what you're doing. You have to think outside the box. It's not about being a hippie or a health nut or any diet trend. It's not about going on a diet. It's about facing the facts. If we keep running through drive-thrus, if we keep giving them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on fluffy, yummy, soft bread, and we keep giving them juice boxes because they say organic and think they're better, we are really being taken advantage of a system that knows what they're doing. So please take your child's health and yours always seriously. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about more convenient ways to get good nutrition in and keep the bad stuff out.
You're listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World in the historic Arcade Building in downtown Fort Pierce, US 1, between Orange Avenue and Avenue A, directly across from the City Hall in Fort Pierce. Joanne will be right back with her special guest in just a moment.
Guiding the Treasure Coast in health, one person at a time. That's their motto at Joanne's Nutrition World, Suite 121, in the historic Arcade Building on US 1, downtown Fort Pierce. Joanne brings more than 25 years of experience in the natural health industry, right here to you. Take advantage of this free personal guide to wellness and good health. Meet with Joanne herself and get started. Nutrition World always provides you with the hottest new product lines, natural and homeopathic remedies, herbals, and best of all, expert advice from the people who care. Call Joanne at 464-3598, 464-3598, and learn the correlation between diet and great health. Stop in today. The expert guidance to health is always free at Nutrition World. Nutrition World, Suite 121 in the Arcade Building, US 1, downtown Fort Pierce.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And now back to Joanne's World of Nutrition with Joanne Augusto.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for listening today. I really appreciate you spending the time with me. And today I have my lovely daughter, Helena, in the studio. Yes, Helena, school ended yesterday, and for some reason I always lose track of silly little facts like that in my life. I'm a little hippie at heart, so I'm pretty cash with things. And so, yes, so we got to sleep in a little this morning, right, honey? That was nice.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, you were sleeping hard, and yes, and it's definitely an advantage where you get to sleep in the mornings, but we did something a little bit naughty last night, me and Helena and my boyfriend and his kids. We took a really long walk, so obviously that was the healthy part. But what was the reason we were taking a long walk?
You went to Publix and we got like a bowl of ice cream.
Well, yep, we got ice cream, right? Because Ben and Jerry's was buy one, get one free. But what did Matt and I have? Come on, tell everyone what we had.
You guys had non-dairy coconut pops.
That popsicles.
Ice cream pops.
Yeah. All right. So just for the record, okay? But so the reason I'm bringing that up is because, the shakes, a lot of people question because they are whey and, oh, what about congestion? Because for years, I've always said avoid all dairy foods because they bring up mucus and congestion. Okay, but this is the unbelievable fact about my daughter. If she drinks shakes all day long, she does not get congestion. She has ice cream or cheese or yogurt, and she gets congested right away. So again, not all dairy was created equal, everyone. So just another note on that. Now, I do not promote really any dairy that's sold in our marketplace. But just if you are concerned about when I mention whey protein, it's crazy how, I don't know if it's because it's a family-owned New Zealand farm and it's super clean, high in metabolic and proteolytic enzymes and digests so well, or that it activates with the cold water. I don't really know why. But when she does the ice cream, just like me, I had a few spoonfuls of her, and right away my nose was getting clogged. It's crazy how that happens. So sometimes it's not worth it. So I'm glad that we had a 3-mile walk to go along with our little ice cream treat, because I feel like at least it's a little better after effect, huh? All right, so we were talking earlier about convenient ways to get your kids healthy, getting them involved in choosing meals, helping cook it, give people incentives as far as, I always believe in like reward system, like I'm old fashioned that way. You don't eat your healthy food, you don't get any dessert. But for the most part too, we try to do healthy desserts. So for any fellow chocoholics or have children that love chocolate, I pulled up on the Isogenics website a really amazing recipe for no-bake almond fudge. This recipe is blowing my mind about how clean and easy it is. So it has an avocado, almond milk, 2 scoops of the shake mix to get all the amino acids for your lean muscle tissue, for your brain, all the things that you need, cocoa powder, sea salt, some almonds. So that's it. You just blend it all and you put it in a dish with parchment paper, and then you put it in the freezer or a long time in the fridge, and finito. So there are ways to get yummy, healthy treats into your life, and there's a million of these kind of recipes online. So try to have these things pre-prepared, like maybe make one day a week in your family where you're preparing these popsicles or these healthy versions of brownies or ice cream. So that way when the urges come or you're about to watch a movie and that sensation of, okay, let's get candy out, those old tapes that we all have in us and our children are so used to, let's make newer, better ways to please the appetite and have a beautiful, rewarding moment with our family that we can cherish and reflect back on, but without damaging our bodies. There is so many studies right now that show that we are so lacking in the nutrition that we need, especially for our brains. We are having our children have high expectations with their brains, not only keeping up with technology, they're staring at these screens all day, not getting as much exercise and fresh air, but then we're surprised when they're short-tempered or they're showing signs of ADD or ADHD, but meanwhile, they're not getting enough water, they're not getting enough healthy fats, and they're definitely not getting enough nutrition. So the greens, the vegetables, I mentioned them earlier, how most children don't know what vegetables are. And actually, I'm going to put my daughter to a little bit of a test because she's been around, a mother that's in the nutrition field for her whole life. And I'm just curious, Helena, Can you name 4 different vegetable names? Just try. No pressure. That's why we call it a test. So talk close to the microphone and see if you can name 4.
Lettuce.
Okay.
Celeries.
So far, so good. Yep, lettuce and
And
celery. Okay.
Peas.
Peas, very good.
Cucumbers.
Cucumbers. Well, I hope you named cucumbers, girl. You pretty much, your bloodstream's made of those. You eat so many. Okay, so she struggled to name 4. And she consumes quite a bit of vegetables on a daily basis. So could you imagine, most of the kids that might not do that? So we need to make this fun. We need to make this exciting. Get them into the produce section. Get them involved with the grocery shopping. Instead of being, spending 30 minutes picking out refined cereal and making a choice out of what label looks the most attractive or with the best free toy, get them into the produce section. Let's get them definitely thinking outside the box. All right, another little test for you, my darling. What vegetable, when you open it up, looks like spaghetti? We eat it instead of pasta. Do you know what that one is? You love it. Little olive oil and a little salt, and you just love it. It's yellow. All right, spaghetti squash. So spaghetti squash, for all you moms out there that haven't already looked into this, it looks intimidating on the produce section because it looks like this big, huge, hard squash that, like other squashes, take forever. But whether you have an Instapot, a pressure cooker, a crock pot, or just a regular old pan, it's really not so hard. And it's so easy. You boil some water, throw the squash in there, give it some room to breathe, and then maybe after 20 minutes, to see, all the squashes are different size, so it's hard for me to tell you how long to cook it because there's small spaghetti squash and then there's huge ones. All you have to do is poke a knife through. And as soon as it goes through easy, you literally can almost like peel it like you would peel like anything, really. It's like the outside comes off, and then you take a big spoon or a big fork and pull the spaghetti squash out and just discard the seeds. It's so cheap, so nutritious, and it's high in, for potassium and tons of zinc. Do you know most of us are deficient in zinc? We need zinc to heal our skin, to heal our throats, to stop sore throats, get our white blood cells going, our immune system going so we don't get sick. So definitely try some spaghetti squash and pumpkins in general. Like all the kids think of, Halloween and carving out a pumpkin, but it's amazing to have, pumpkin soup for them. And the kids really do love these things. They just don't know they love them yet. Their taste buds normally are so christened with sugar, salt, fat type of experiences that when you first give them the healthy things, they start rolling their eyes at you and they're like, there's no way I'm going to eat it. But trust me, after time, they will want that choice versus the other stuff because the other stuff won't make them feel well. And they do know the difference. And a little trick, if your child has a fever, a cold, a bellyache, you can give them a probiotic, okay? So like, for instance, again, another plug for Isogenics because I love them. They make these little fiber snack bars for all ages, and they have pre-probiotics in them, and they don't use sweeteners. They are just so full of nutrition. And so when you start introducing pre-probiotics or probiotics, they help move the bowels if there's stagnation without having to give a child a laxative. So if your children are not using the bowels or there's congestion or fever, definitely get them to move their bowels more using pre-probiotics, fiber in general, because we need 35 grams of fiber a day to keep us strong and healthy. And most of the conventional American diet has like maybe 5 grams if we're lucky. So there's nothing wrong with enhancing with healthy fiber alternatives, whether it be in bars or in some steel-cut oatmeal. So the less processed the food, normally the more fiber it has. So definitely introduce more fiber into the day. And there's another convenient product that Isogenics makes that I would say your brother eats so much more of than you, and I kind of live on them. What is the other thing that you always see us opening up every day?
Mostly the...
You know, when we open it up, we eat it, and one's called chocolate decadence.
Oh.
The bars.
Oh.
The bars.
Yeah, he loves
I have to
those.
hide these bars from my son, and it's not because of the cost. They're also extremely affordable, like the shakes. But we fight over like who's going to eat the last of the supply. So they make the same ingredients that come in the shake, but they make one called chocolate decadence. So whether I want it to be a snack, because it's healthy. So it's just because it's called chocolate decadence, it doesn't have to be like a dessert. But when I have a craving or I need a quick fix to get me through, a few hours, oh my gosh, that bar is amazing. And it keeps my teenage boy who has an appetite like you wouldn't believe. It's like crazy. He has a very lean constitution. He's very tall and slender. He eats like a machine. So if any of you guys out there can identify with me, holy moly, it's like I have to keep a case of bars, the shakes, the cut up veggies and hummus and food abundantly around because they just don't stop eating. So yes, it's crazy, right, honey? It's like he's always opening the refrigerator or the pantry to get more food in him. So the Isoline bars, really yummy and convenient as well. So if you look at products like I'm referring to, and if you're going to the supermarkets, just please be very careful. And like I've always taught you, look at the back ingredient panel. Do not go by the front. So if it says natural, healthy, low this, high that, please don't even pay attention. Go to the ingredients and find out really what it is. I have some adults that are still taking children's multis, and they don't even realize that there's petroleum tar-based oils in there. They have red dyes, blue dyes. It's kind of like Skittles pretending it's a multi. It's insane. I don't understand. Like, of course they taste like yummy sweet cherries because it's all fake. So really, if you, for some reason, you don't like to take vitamins and you're trying to just do something to make yourself healthier and you're choosing something at the market that looks really yummy, like a gummy, hint, hint, look at the ingredients. There's usually so much sugar, waxes, stabilizers, colors. You are doing your body not only no good, but harm. Okay, much harm. So you need to trash those and start with something fresh. So if there's powders that I can offer you, lots of healthy things. And after we take this next break, we are going to talk about the 5 basic things that I always say every human needs, but especially your rapidly growing child. We'll be right back, folks. Thank you for listening.
Your children's health, our topic today on Joanne's World of Nutrition. We'll be back in a moment.
Guiding the Treasure Coast in health, one person at a time. That's their motto at Joanne's Nutrition World, Suite 121, in the historic Arcade Building on US 1, downtown Fort Pierce. Joanne brings more than 25 years of experience in the natural health industry, right here to you. Take advantage of this free personal guide to wellness and good health. Meet with Joanne herself and get started. Nutrition World always provides you with the hottest new product lines, natural and homeopathic remedies, herbals, and best of all, expert advice from the people who care. Call Joanne at 464-3598, 464-3598, and learn the correlation between diet and great health. Stop in today. The expert guidance to health is always free at Nutrition World. Nutrition World, Suite 121 in the Arcade Building, US 1, downtown Fort Pierce.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
And now, back to Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World, hosted by Joanne Augusto.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful morning. And if you've been tuning into us this whole hour, I really appreciate the time. I know how busy everyone's lives are. And today we have a special guest, my daughter, Helena. Elena's 8 years old, just finished school yesterday. You want to say hi to everybody, honey?
Hi.
I love it. She was kind of nervous, but I think she's doing pretty darn good. Yes, you're a natural, honey. And so we're talking about kids' health. Obviously, I wanted to find a topic that would interest her. And we're talking about, some convenient ways to get good nutrition in and keeping the junk out. But there are some primary supplements that really should be a part of your child's health as well as yours. The first thing that I always stress to people is probiotics. Probiotics now come in easy to swallow pills, powders, chewables, infant powders. So at any age, you can introduce this good bacteria into your system. They make it clean, they make it easy to shake or add into things. The chewables come in delicious flavors. We love to promote Garden of Life children's probiotics at our store, and it is always 20% off. Garden of Life I've been selling for years, and they've had a couple changes that some people are concerned with, but I can definitely still put my seal of approval on them. The company has never been cleaner, more transparent. It's just really good stuff, and my children use all their products. So the Garden of Life probiotics, very affordable, very good quality, all the different strains and strength that you need for a child's health or an adult health. And then, like I mentioned earlier, a clean, healthy multi. Don't bother giving them anything because they'll eat it. It's not worth spending the money. If they do not want to choose something or swallow something, put it into a smoothie, make a shake out of it, or just try to consume healthier versions of food. But to buy a synthetic gummy or chewable just to please the child because they won't take any other version is a waste of your time and money. If it will not give them any good, and it will do more harm than good. So again, I must say the Garden of Life chewables are absolutely delicious. And my favorite one is the woman's, which is typically a 3 to 4 chewy a day. So you can, if you have, use that same gender one, the male or female, for your younger child, and just dose out appropriately. 4 a day is based on 120 pounds, so you can just do the math. But they're the best quality nutrients. Their gummies are made outside the country because it's the only place they could find that wouldn't put animal gelatin, coatings, and junk into them. So they taste yummy. They have 9 servings of superfoods in them, and they're really, really healthy. So that's the second thing. So probiotics, a healthy multi. The next one is something for their immune system. I love the immune formula from Isogenics. They also have Isoimmune, which is a spray if you don't want to use their brand new powder version. Their spray has all superfoods that are high in zinc, things to keep away the colds and the flus. And, there is something that definitely happens in the summer where a lot of kids can't even make it back to school because maybe the lack of sleep, maybe because they're consuming way too much sugar during the summer, a lot more ice cream and popsicles and things that they shouldn't be consuming so much of. But I hear all the time from my friends that their kids are getting those summer colds and they're lasting longer and longer. So you definitely want to get them something for the immune system. And again, don't fall for the labels that just put immune on the front. Look at what's in there. If it has fillers and sugars and colors, keep walking. All right, the next one that I just mentioned too is fiber. We definitely have to give our kids more fiber. So if you want to make smoothies with high fibrous foods, it's a great idea, but a lot of kids, most of the time, don't like the consistency. But if you get Garden of Life, makes this really instantized fiber product that comes citrus flavored, and it has a little stevia, so it's a sweetness, but not too much stevia, so it doesn't like taste like a fake food. You might want to give that a try. So whether it be Metamucil, psyllium, or a probiotic fiber blend, or just all the different apple fibers, oat bran fibers, steel cut oatmeal, get more fiber into their diet. And then the next thing is healthy fats. Helena, do you know what the brain is made out of? Do you know? Dun, 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 dun. Healthy fats. So that's the reason why I give you all those things that are healthy, like olives and coconuts, and like we were eating the coconut meat the other day from all those coconuts. The healthy fats provide what the brain needs to build a stronger, better brain, and lots of moisture. So water or things that like vegetables, that's why you eat lots of cucumbers. I want to make sure you're hydrating your body, because our bodies don't work without moisture. So that's really critical, giving your kids healthy fats. Now remember, once a fat, for the most part, is cooked or brought to a high temperature, you're destroying the fats. And I'm going to do a show on a really critical thing in our human body called telomeres. And the telomeres is what makes us age way too fast for us, okay, part of our DNA. But one of the findings that they showed from a Nobel Prize winner is that the trans fats, we've known they're bad, and even, when they make all the manufacturers take the trans fats off their labels, it's bad for them to go to that measure, because usually all that toxic food stays put on our grocery shelves and we don't say boo about it. So the trans fats, super duper bad for us. So when you take an oil and you put it into a cracker or a pasta or a processed bar, you've now made a bad oil, a bad trans fat. So that's not what I'm referring to. Those are bad for the brain and the body. So I'm talking about healthy, like eating olives, having, fresh seeds and almonds and Brazil nuts and hazelnuts, like putting healthy fats in the proper proportion into our body. If you do consume fish, making sure it's not farm raised. Hey, another question for you, because I miss hearing that little cute voice of yours. Last night we had fish, and I was trying to explain to the other kids at the table, why was that fish okay to eat but not other fish is okay to eat? Do you remember the word that I said?
Yes, I do. It was because it is a wild
Nice.
fish, and
I'm so
it is
impressed.
not like a
So do you know the difference between wild and farm raised? What that means? I kind of explained it a little bit.
That I'm not sure.
You're not sure? That's okay. So wild, just like the word means, like thing is out in nature, right? So like if you go to a zoo and see an animal behind a cage, is it in the wild?
No.
Right. So wild means it's in its natural habitat. So most of the time people consume fish like salmon and halibut and flounder in farm raised situations, so they control it, almost like we have Lily, our fish at home, in a tank, our cute little Lily. So what happens with Lily if we don't clean the water? Right? We have to like clean it. You have to put chemicals to stabilize it, right? Well, that's how these farming tanks are. So they try to make these almost like, we call them Frankenfish, because they're not real fish. They're not in the wild. They're not in their true environment eating what they normally would do. The ocean itself isn't cleaning it. Chemicals are keeping the tanks going. Machines are keeping the tanks going. We're feeding them byproducts that were never meant to be in their food system. So that's why we don't, as a family, consume those kind of fish. So we did wild fish last night, which is a little pricey, so we only have it once in a blue moon. So that's some of the things that you can start teaching your kids about. And yeah, there's going to be some eyes that are rolling, but lead by example. Because I know when I feel accountable to my children because I want to be around, like I have my kids later in life. And so I know it is my responsibility to them and to myself as a human being that I don't want to be dependent on drugs. I don't want them to have to take care of me. And I know that there is genetics involved. I know there are other factors. I'm not naive to that. But I feel like as if I can make better choices, there is definitely a better chance that my body will respect me for that and hold stronger longer. So there is an expression everyone says, oh gosh, just live and have fun and stop worrying. I don't worry. I am having fun, but I love the idea that I'm not at urgent care. I'm not on meds. I'm not visiting doctors. I don't get headaches. I have a great strong belly that doesn't bother me. So you want to really take responsibility for yourself and any loved ones that are in your care, because only you will suffer if they end up not feeling their best. Oh, especially, oh my gosh, kids and moods. No offense, Helena, but when you guys eat that sugar, holy moly, folks. I don't know who's listening out there that has those moments, but I can see when the kids eat, especially that hard candy with all the different colors, it's like an instant sugar. They are bouncing off the walls.
I remember being a small child with my friends, given candy. We would run around crazy and just, all through the house, all through the yard, up and down the trees, everywhere.
Well, I remember when there was a big push to teach parents that children and sugar and artificial colors, the correlation with their behavior. And then it almost seemed like how politically influenced that they were trying to quiet that study down. Mm-hmm. And I said, listen, who needs a piece of paper to prove this? Give your kid a bag of candy, watch them 20 minutes later, and if you tell me their behavior is not affected, that's insane. I even feel it myself. If I make a bad choice and I have sugar, like say for Halloween, like I'm like, oh, let me have a few of these, I feel a difference. Sometimes I feel like I'm almost getting the sugar shakes, Well, it's crazy.
If they had just invented sugar today, it would have a heck of a time getting approval to pass through the Food and Drug Administration.
Oh, yeah. It's worse than a drug.
Dangerous. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, more addictive than a drug, much more poisonous. All right, everyone. I just want to take an extra minute before the show ends to thank my special guest who I love with all my heart, Helena. You going to say anything to the listeners?
I'll say I hope you guys do whatever we told you. That's good.
Oh, I love that. I hope you guys do whatever we told you. Okay. I wish the system worked that simply.
Including stopping by Nutrition World in the historic
and come to the
building.
store, right? Check out Mommy's store.
And that you guys have a good day.
Oh, thank you, honey. And I do as well. Everyone have an awesome day. Look forward to talking to you guys next week.
You've been listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, a special feature of WPSL AM 1590 and WPSL TV on the World Wide Web on YouTube. In fact, archives of this show can be found on YouTube at www.wpsltv.com. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, serving 25 years and counting.